conditions. STEM, artificial intelligence and robotics high on education agenda in Team Fojo. KGL does not owe NLA 55 million Ghana cedis. KGL NLA contract best so far. Abola Piamwe installs new regent. Deadly fishing on Ghana's waters as fisher folk tackle oil production vessels for marine space. The Insight. SFG salutes Nkrumah on 72nd anniversary of the formation of the CPP. Number of appointed females in new cabinet disappointing. African Center for Women in Politics. Galamsey Otinje writes on activities of extra gold. Ministers summoned over Akufo-Addo's 2.8 million Ghana cedis luxury jet saga. The Daily Statesman. Robbers bought with cash AK-47 in Jamestown fatal daylight robbery. Western North Youth Hill Regional Minister for Action Against Chinese Company. Ghana's UN Security Council slot to aid lobby for COVID vaccines. Government to prioritize STEM and artificial intelligence. Daily Post. Lies of Education Minister exposed. That's his son's ex-teacher. Confirms he's in a private SHS. We'll stop escorting your cash if you don't acquire armored bullion vans. IGP warns banks. How Kwame Alovi successfully probed the I don't have a son old enough to attend SHS. Response of the Honorable Minister for Education. Business and Financial Times. Tor MD and Deputy fired. CSOs question refinery's long-term future. Interest payments compensation outpaces revenue by 3 billion cedis in Q1. Whoa. We're in trouble. Okay, it's not as if we've not been in trouble for a while. Otunfo urges ADB, NDG collaboration to enhance agribusiness financing. Cost of government domestic borrowing sees marginal dip. Cinemas get green light to open. GTA finally issues guideline to operators. Good news. CSR, what story are you telling? So this is a sustainability corner with Romain Van Staden and Ebenezer Asuman. This is something that is worth reading. Feature, how to attract private finance to Africa's development. Economy Times. Banks continue to make huge profit. Economy on recovery path. Miners want 30% of mineral royalties given to communities. And that's about it for the front pages. We'll be back shortly.
Need a little help? Nobody does it better. At UCS Facility Management, we give you the best in janitorial services, which include high-rise window cleaning, office cleaning, post-construction cleaning, facade washing, deep cleaning, carpet cleaning, swimming pool cleaning, and event janitorial services. Locate us at Jowolu, JA Plant Pool premises, or call us on 0501 666 322 or 0203 299 212 or 0203 299 234. UCS, your property is under our care.
As a mother and wife, my priority is making sure my family is protected at all times. That is why I never forget to give my angel a Flora disposable handkerchief to keep germs and sweat at bay. When Habi is out in the fields, I'm rest assured of Flora coming in handy anytime he needs it. Even when my daughter Na is out late, I am confident Flora disposable handkerchief will be close enough to save the moment. Flora disposable handkerchiefs are my go-to disposable handkerchiefs any day, anytime, and everywhere. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is affordable and handy. Flora, better than cloth handkerchiefs. Flora is a product of Delta Paper Mill Limited. For inquiries and bulk purchases, call 0243 033 033.
Blood gives life. blood is very important. Let's donate blood to save lives. On Saturday, June 19th, 2021, Metro TV, Original TV, and Original FM humbly invite you to be part of blood donation exercise at the premises of Metro TV, close to Alisa Hotel on Dr. Isert Street at North Ridge in Accra. The exercise will start at 7 o'clock in the morning. It is in commemoration of the World Blood Donation Day. Join us Save Lives as we donate blood for the Blood Bank. This exercise is in partnership with Blue Skies, Pharma Nova, and 3Fair. Share to save a life.
There's a place for people like you.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV shows brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. With me on the show this morning are two very good friends of mine. To my immediate left is the Member of Parliament for the Dwabusu constituency. Okay, I prefer to refer to him as a farmer rather than a politician. I guess what he wears both hats. He's a Member of Parliament for the Dwabusu constituency and on the ticket of the NDC, and he's the ranking member on the Health Committee in Parliament. Good morning.
Good morning, Randy.
Okay. Also with me on the show this morning is my brother who's wearing a former portfolio this morning, former executive director of the Dankwa Institute. And well, very soon I might have to stop calling him former. But Richard Ahiagba is also here with me on the show. Good morning, Richard. Honorable, Dwabusu, Western region or Western North?
Western North.
Oh, Western North. Okay. All right. Okay. It used to be, your constituency used to be not just Dwabusu, right?
Yeah, it used to be Dwabusu Bia district.
Okay.
And now it's giving birth to 4 districts and 4 constituencies.
Really?
Yes. So now we have the Bia East, Bia West, Dwabusu, and Bodi.
And Bodi.
Yes, it was more or less a region on its own.
Yes, yes.
But
yes.
it is 4 out of the 9 districts in the region.
Okay. So, but at a point in time, you were MP for all these areas?
No, I was not the MP for all these areas.
Okay.
I came in around 2012, the 2012 elections.
Okay. So 2012, it was just Dwabusu?
It was just Dwabusu.
Okay.
The Dwabusu, you know, they first divided it into Bia East, Bia West. No, it was Bia and Dwabusu. So then they further divided the Bia into Bia East and Bia West, and they divided the Dwabusu to Dwabusu and Bodi.
Okay.
Okay. That's how it happened.
Okay. All right. Now, since you're here, I'll start off with agriculture, especially rice farming.
Oh, you've surprised me.
No. and for our viewers, the last time we were speaking about local rice production, I showed you samples of his produce. Yes, what he actually produces. The packaging and everything, I showed them to you. And, you know, this rice thing, the rice situation, amongst others, like poultry and all those things, the rice situation is a sad one. Because virtually what we get from cocoa syndicated loans is used in purchasing rice. All the fanfare we make, that we've been able to go and syndicate money, 1.5 billion, 1. At best, 2 billion, you know, from cocoa, and believing that that is what will stabilize the currency and all that. That money is gulped rice importation alone. So rice importation offsets that kind of money. That's just how. So that's the rice. That's his rice.
Yeah.
Petra. Yes, this is the rice produced by the Honorable Member of Parliament who's sitting here with us. Yes, you know, and so that day we were having a discussion. I had to show this just to show the potential and all that. Last week, the Business and Financial Times published a story about rice production and financing and the problems that those in the local rice production, industry, face, you know, and all that. But since you're here, we have very interesting things to deal with. But since you're here, I mean, I need to really go back to this issue. You see, if we take our import bill,
exactly,
we have the big ticket items. Rice is obviously one of them. Sugar, oil,
poultry products,
processed tomato, unfortunately. And then you have the byproducts of crude oil. So because you see, a lot of people don't even know that we keep talking about a number of wells and blocks that we are drilling and all that. But as we speak, apart from 45% of LPG, our consumption of LPG, apart from 45% of that, which is provided by the Tuabo gas plant, the Tuabo meets 45% of our needs. So 55% of our LPG is imported. Now, that's the only part where we are doing anything about the byproducts. The petrol you put in your car is imported. The diesel is imported. The aviation fuel is imported. The bitumen for the year of roads and year of roads number 2, imported. In fact, the mosquito spray that you use, the repellents, you know, kerosene is imported. Every single thing, minus 45% of our LPG requirements. You know, so those are the big ticket items. And if you're looking at things that are creating instability for you in terms of your currency and all that, I mean, your work is cut out. And the saddest part is that there are some that we have a comparative advantage if we indeed decide to be sensible. And one of them is rice. Honorable Minta Kando, how come we've not been able to? You've been farming for a long time. You've been encouraging me over the years. And unfortunately, I've not heeded to your thing full time. But, I mean, how come we are unable to get out of where we are?
Randy, let me say good morning to your viewers. And as you have already indicated, the very items that are so heavy on our wage bill, and fortunately, we can do something about a lot of them. And we are virtually relaxing or not doing much about them. Initially, I started farming as a hobby.
When did you start?
Well, I have been a farmer throughout because my parents were farmers.
Okay.
So at age 15, virtually, I was taking care of my father's cocoa farms because I was going around the caretakers, then be weighing. If they dry the cocoa beans, I will be there to represent my father to weigh it. So I've been with my dad. My dad was a chief in Sehuantobia, 2 kilometers from Shojuaboso. So I have been in the farming. And you know, in our district, my village, the Antobia village, is one of the villages where they farm both cocoa and rice.
Oh.
Yeah, cocoa and rice. So at lean seasons where they don't have cocoa, they have the opportunity to farm rice. Okay. And so I started by that. But I realized that I was getting more money in farming than in politics.
Okay.
Yeah, especially rice.
So even when you were in uni, you were farming?
Yes.
You are UCC, right?
I went to UCC.
Okay.
And so I realized that there's so much money in farming. And not only that, more than 90% of the money we get from farming stays in the country.
Okay.
It goes to the indigenous people. How many percentage of the money we get from oil stays in this country? Gold, bauxite, how many? But for example, in the rice production, almost all the money stays except what is used in importing, the equipment for the farming. You understand? And the interesting aspect is that almost every aspect of the rice is not thrown away. So for example,
explain that,
for example, after harvesting, we have something we call the straws. The straws can be used in preparing feed for the cattle.
Okay.
You don't throw it away if you do and do it well.
Okay.
So after harvesting, you get what we call the paddy. That's the brown rice before processing. The paddy, we have a component we call, when you go through the processing, we have a component we call the rice bran. The rice bran can be used in feeding piggery or poultry. Then the husk itself can also be turned into rice bran. Then when we get to processing and packaging, we have the broken rice. The broken rice can also be packaged for the emutio and the rice porridge and whatever, and you have the long grain. You understand? So you don't virtually throw anything away.
So everything is useful along the line.
Is useful along the line. And so we should have, and we don't have any reason for importing 1 grain of rice into this country.
Why? Why do you
Because
say that?
we have the land. And that's the most important thing. Even without irrigation, you can do at least once in the northern part of the country, starting from June, July, August, September, seeding period.
The rainy season.
The rainy season, at least you can do one. Without irrigation, if you target it very well, you can do 2 times in the southern part of the country without irrigation.
Oh.
2 times. So in my part of the country, the western north, all things being equal, you'll be able to do 2 times. So by June, July, you'll be doing your first harvesting. Then immediately after first harvesting, then you start the planting of the second one. And so we have the land available, and we have to invest in the sector. Number one, our policies are not helping.
Okay.
For example, if we are thinking about feeding ourselves and even exporting some of the rice, then we should be targeting the commercial farmers. But unfortunately for us, all our policies are geared towards the peasant farmers. So it is only when you are a peasant farmer that you can be given a subsidy on your inputs. So when you are going to buy the fertilizer, they will say you can't buy more than, let's say, 20 bags or 10 bags of the fertilizer. You can't buy a certain quantity of, and of course, apart from the fertilizer,
even though you are a registered commercial
you
farmer.
can't buy more than that.
Okay.
You understand? And then the seeds they are restricted. But how can the peasant farmer feed all of us in this country? So we have to target the commercial farmers. Look, Randy, I have always made a point that, look, if we know the number of tonnage that we need per year, we can divide it into some number of farmers. This is what you have to produce, okay? And leave those that are not taken into consideration, because their own will come and show up it, and then it will be abandoned in the system. And then, even if they don't have the equipment, there should be a clear policy. Look, we have given you a 100-hectare or 200-hectare farm. Okay, what do you need? I need a tractor, I need a combine harvester, I need this, I need that. You can be given all those things. Then the government can even be lifting it in terms of rice. So every season, probably you are producing, government is lifting, let's say, 2,000 tons of rice from your farm to defray the cost of your machines. So it's about how we handle our policies. Now, if you come to the sector, land preparation is key in terms of farming. It's very expensive. If you are farming, for example, rice farming, you need, if you want to prepare your land well, you need a bulldozer, first and foremost, to be able to uproot all the trees on the farm. Okay, how will the poor farmer in your village afford a bulldozer to clear his farm? Okay, because a day, the bulldozer will cost you not less than 3,000 Ghana cedis.
True.
The fuel you buy, the cost of the renting, the operator, and what have you. So after the clearing, you have to plow, you have to harrow, so it costs a lot of money. Then after that, the spraying, the weedicide, the application of fertilizer, it gets to another very sensitive point, which is very, very disheartening. That you've planted, you've seen your produce, but you cannot harvest.
Why?
Because you don't have the harvesters in the system. You understand? And that is why you hear in the northern part of the country that bushfire, the fire has raged a lot of farms. That is because they don't get the combined harvesters to harvest the rice at the good time, especially when it is raining. You need a specific type of combined harvester to be able to have the crawler type, to be able to go into the water and then harvest from it. If you wait till the rains are off, then you risk the bush fires. And especially at that point too, the moisture content of the rice will also come down. If the moisture content of the rice reduces, when you are processing, the breakages also is high. Okay, so we need a policy to look in that direction. If you go to Esuchare, for example, we have a scheme, the irrigator scheme. If you have a irrigator scheme, you can do as much as 3 times within the year. Because rice is a maximum of 4 months, and you are harvesting. Okay, and when it is available in the system, there's sufficient food in the system. And you say, Randy, one very important thing that we don't know, the rice we produce in this country is highly nutritious because it's fresh from the farm. Those rice they import I mean, with no malice, and I don't have the intention of probably killing anybody's business. But the truth of the matter is that they stay in the market for a very long time. Fact. Me, my rice, not until you order, I don't even process. So you bring your order, you can even bring your representative at the shop, then we start the processing. So you left it fresh. You understand? And there are no chemicals. I don't add any chemical to it. So if we are able to produce large quantities of rice here, our FDAs and our institutions will be able to monitor, and we must be interested in what goes into our stomach, what we eat. We don't just import anything anyhow and break into the country. And then one huge challenge is about the processing, the electricity cost. So by the time you finish your land preparation, the input, the seeds, the weedicides, the combined harvest, your cost of production is already very high at the paddy level. When you get, that is the farm gate is already very high. Then you come and add the cost of processing to it. You know, so by the time you realize your rice, the price of your rice is higher than the one that is being imported into the country. Okay? Because, I mean, a government in another country can decide to reduce the price of the rice being imported in this country just to create jobs for the people in that particular country. You know? So for me, I think that we have to look at that sector, and I believe that we will never, you can drive to Asuchare. When you go there, you see how people are making it in terms of rice farming. So now, apart from, I mean, maize, it is the next food we consume so much in this country. So we must have a clear policy direction as far as we have to meet the people in the sector, ask them the challenges, and then we attempt to solve those things.
Right, I'll get back to you on some other thing which also has to do with youth in agribusiness. But Richard,
yes, sir.
You know, if I look at something like Planting for Food and Jobs, I get the impression that we are trying to do a little of everything. We're trying to do a little of everything. Yes, we must by all means give support to our farmers and all that. But you can't do a little of everything at the same time and expect to make serious inroads. So my mind tells me that, for example, if rice, we're spending maybe close to $2 billion on rice every year, must that not be an area that we would want to target full scale and tell ourselves that, look, in the next 5 years, we would want to be self-sufficient, and maybe first year we cut down importation by 20%, second year by 40%, third year by 60%, fourth year by 80%. By the fifth year, we should be doing 100%. You know, and then we also deal with the how. How do we go about it? So some of the issues that is raised, the things that, you know, inhibit them in the sector and all that. How is government going to, you know, something like that, I think, would make a more meaningful impact, you know, than us trying to do a little of everything.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Senior, and good morning to my brother and your viewers. I think it's been very insightful. I mean, his passion, and you can see it from what he's saying, that he knows really about this and is invested in that sector. I was trying to get a name. I've tried it. There's this rice production also in the Volta region, and the process, I think it's Gold Star or something, is produced in Ziavi, a village near, well, a town near Ho, and there's a small milling factory that is set up there. And that just ties in with what he's saying, that really we have capacity, and if we invest across this country, we can do that. Government has indicated that. But, and to your question, I think our politics creates a disincentive for it. There is almost a siege mentality if a government comes in. You must do this, you must do this. So that kind of atmosphere prevents you from taking a project and say, we are going to sit and invest in this sector and drive development in that area. And also, so politics is one of it, the kind of atmosphere. And the second thing is also is that it's almost as if everything is coming at you all at the same time. The luxury, I don't want to say the luxury, but the earlier development of developed countries now, there was some kind of wiggle room to maybe plan and be a bit intentional. But currently now, it's everything that is aiming at you. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't. We should find a way, maybe working with the two parties, coming up with a strategy and saying that this is how we want to proceed, and there's a buy-in from all sides. You can't go and take a syndicated loan only to drown that with the importation of rice, as you have suggested.
One commodity.
One commodity.
Yeah.
So that it will put ourselves in a disadvantage. You might as well just stop importing rice and then not go for a syndicated loan. That compensates for that. So I think that we are work in progress, and I am confident that perhaps government's insistence on getting us rice sufficient, I think 2022 was the deadline.
That's next year.
Next year. And so with investors or farmers like my brother, we can drive this. But I am not sure why my brother is on the health committee. Really. I'm not sure. I was listening to him, I'm like, is there something I'm missing or something? But you can see his contribution on maybe, is it the food, agriculture and cocoa affair committee. There's a committee like that,
yes, that
you can be on, and your presence will drive that. You're not going to be imagining things or seeking ideas. You live that every day. I think maybe you need to have something like that happen. But I think that
you were Deputy Minister of Health, right?
No, lands and natural resources.
Okay, lands and natural resources.
So you've been in the wrong places, I think.
Lands and natural resources is okay.
Yeah, but advisedly, not in a negative sense, but where we can optimally use it. Like you're saying, to be able to demonstrate comparative advantage is common, knowledge. We know that, but you see, our situation is a bit peculiar. Everything is happening at the same. It's like when you are sick, right? When you are healthy, you can be preventive, know what to eat and what. But when you are sick, everything must be employed to make sure you get well. That's the situation we're in, and we need to be intentional and be a bit more our politics to drive consensus more than the adversarial nature of it, and everybody trying to outdo each other in terms of what I say to get you down, what I say to get me up. That, I guess, would get us to be able to work a bit more effectively.
Randy,
yes,
the issue I have with this policy planting for food is that we have not targeted to increase the production of the foodstuff because, for example, yes, an improved seedlings or seeds is a very, very, it's a very good thing in terms of farming. You must get the right seed to give it the right yield. It's good. So when government is into, making sure that the farmers get the right seed, it's fantastic. But you see, if the farmer has not been able to prepare his farm well, and you even give him an improved seed, it's cost 0. Of course 90. You understand? So where the farmers need help, we are not doing it. What they cannot do is what we must assist them to do. It's the preparation of the land. Preparation of the land. Because you go to a farm and it's virtually full of stumps. How can machines go to that farm and then how will your energy help you to farm? You can't use tractor on that farm. You can't use combine harvester on that farm. So what they need is for government to prepare their land for them, number one. Number two, because of climatic conditions, okay, now the rains are not predictable. So we must be heading towards irrigation. You understand? That is where we all thought that we're going to have a lot of dams in the northern part of the country. And unfortunately, I farm in Yagaba, I farm in So. Oh,
you don't farm in only Western
No. I farm in Goreba, I farm in So, I farm in Yagaba.
Rice?
Yes, rice.
All rice?
Yes. In last 2 years, I deployed more than, 6-7 combined harvesters to Fumbisi to harvest their rice for them. They would have all gone bad.
Okay, you went to assist them?
Yes. Okay. We deployed machines. They pay something, but just for, So these are the things they need so that you have that security that, look, you can go in. Now, my first plant, I'm supposed to be harvesting this month, and I don't like the yield. So I quickly had to call the Meteo people to talk to them, to know how the rains will be in the next 6 months before I strategize. So there should even be that linkage in the first place.
Right.
to be predicting how things. So there must be a holistic.
Government agencies work across purposes,
you see,
which is one of the problems.
And I had to call the man, and because of course, because I'm a member of parliament, I had an audience, he listened to me, so he's ready to prepare something for me and all that. But that's me. But that information will help a number of people to be able to strategize. If I had known that the rain was going to behave in that manner, probably I wouldn't have planted that early stage like that, because I don't like the yield of this particular first planting. You understand? So we have to help the farmer to do what the farmer cannot do. You know, so we should stop calculating the number of fertilizers we sell to be jobs we have created. That will not help anybody. You know, we have to make sure that if we are giving fertilizers, they go to the right people. I saw in the papers, I think 2 days ago, that in the northern part of the country, they are smuggling fertilizer to Burkina Faso. You know, so there are challenges in the sector, and we are all over. Yes, I won't say they are not doing anything, but even if you go to, for example, this year, you know when the fertilizer came? The fertilizer came just this month. I think yes, the beginning of this month. Meanwhile, first planting was done in February. So how will those people get fertilizer for their farms? So probably it will help those who are going to the second planting. So these are the petty issues. They must listen to the criticisms and engage. It will help all of us.
So why have you not given up?
Me giving up?
Yeah, why haven't you given up?
I don't give up easily, Randy. I like challenging tasks, and I like difficult. Why? I've been in the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Why wouldn't I decide to go into mining? I like farming. I like challenging jobs.
So let me ask you this. You know, you might be the wrong example, but I'll still ask you. I say wrong example because from your story, you were born into farming. So I'd say that farming is part of your DNA. Okay. Otherwise, I was going to say that for somebody who's highly educated and is part of the political elite, you're part of the elite of the society, you're still involved in farming. That's your main thing.
You are getting it wrong. And that is why we should tell the people.
No, so just hold on. So, but you're still into farming. Yeah. And I raise this issue because there's been a lot of concern about people, young people, educated people, not wanting to go into not just farming, but agribusiness, because you're looking at the entire value chain. You know, but obviously the farming part is where the work is, the hard part of the work is. But there's been that thing that, what will attract young people? What will attract educated people to get into farming? People don't want to get into farming. People don't want to get into agriculture. Everybody wants to wear a tie. You're in a tie, you're wearing a nice jacket, but you're a farmer. You know, what is it that will get almost everybody? And last week a friend was telling me that, there's something peculiar about military generals. Anytime they're about retiring, you ask them, how are you going to spend your retirement? They say, I'll retire on the farm. I retire on the farm. Why that is, maybe I need to speak with one of my senior general friends. But how is it that we are not getting a lot of people like you, minus your farming background, to get into agriculture?
I think it is because we don't know the sector that much. And I don't have the permission to mention some names. These days, a lot of people are going into farming, especially MPs who have decided not to come to Parliament again. They've gone back, and some of them probably off the screen because I don't have their permission to mention. They are into serious.
But that's not negative. You can mention.
It's not.
It will motivate people. It's not. It's not illegal.
Honorable Hussaini. I mean.
Okankwe North.
No. Honorable. Honorable Nisanko.
Yes.
After the show, you can talk to him.
Okay.
Honorable Wayongo.
Yes, as for market.
Regional chairman of one of the countries, he had over 2,000 acres of farm. He's a regional chairman. The value addition, that's where
the deal is.
For example,
so agribusiness.
If you look at how they'll come to the farm gate and buy the paddy.
Okay.
So the profit margin from the planting to the farm gate and from the farm gate to the processing, that distance, the money you make is bigger than from planting to the farm gate.
But that's true. It's the same with cocoa. It's the same with oil.
You understand? Yeah. So we should.
The value addition is where the
value addition is. So we must, as a businessman, you must also, encourage yourself to explore other avenues.
So how can we get people? Where do we start? You know, where do we start sensitizing and educating people about the opportunities in agribusiness. You know, because you obviously can't wait for people to start growing gray beard before you
And
tell
then
them
going into
about.
the farm.
Yes,
See,
there must be a time where we start dealing with agribusiness. It must be somewhere, whether it's in our school curriculum or something. You know, especially if we want people to take it as a profession, as a business, you know, and it creates jobs. It is an area where you don't rely on clearance from Ministry of Finance for you to get a job to do.
Randy, all things being equal, if I put all my salaries together within the 4 years, what I can get from my farm within a year is more than what I can get in my entire 4 years, including all my allowances and whatever. You understand? So I asked one of the scheme managers of the irrigation schemes, so there's this much money in this system, and it's honorable. We keep telling the people don't believe us. Although they make that attempt, but you see, we have a certain perception about farming in this country. And it is because we were not doing it well. That whole and cutlass approach. How many hectares or acres can you weed a day? Okay, so there should be that atmosphere. There should be availability of the equipment, the tractors, the preparation of the land, and then there should be that conscious effort for the sensitization and education on our radios, on our TVs, just like we are doing today. You understand? But we are almost all the time interested in the sensational stories and what have you. You see, so I think that if we begin inviting those people in the sector, the technical people, to come and share their perspective with us, you will be encouraged. And our land tenure system too is also not helping us as a country. Our land tenure system is also not helping. So we should have a way around. There are obvious challenges. That one, there's nothing, I mean, even if when you are eating, there are challenges. So you don't expect that there's a particular business in this world without any challenge at all, especially with these climatic changes and what have you. The irrigation is the way to go. So we should be...
The last time the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources informed us that we've lost 80% of our forest cover. This is a country in crisis.
Yeah.
Senior,
let me even chip in this point. You know what we are doing to ourselves? When our people who are living around the forest reserve go into the forest and farm the degraded area and plant their cocoyam and then their plantains and whatever, we go and arrest them, prosecute them, sometimes jail some of them.
For farming there.
For farming there. Of course, it's illegal. Okay. But as compared to allowing people to go into the forest and mine.
In fact, giving them prospecting license.
And mine.
Yeah.
This is what we are doing to ourselves.
We're too sensible.
you know, the issue about land tenure system, I think, is one of my big problems with that. Because really, without land, you can't do any of the things we're talking about. So, having been at that lands and natural resources, I don't know what we can do, because I personally am inspired by everything he said, and I've been making efforts since a while ago now, since I got back to Ghana, to get into serious farming. But one of the consistent problems I face is land. And so I don't know, maybe we need to think around that to try and make it easy for people who want to go into farming to be able to have easy access to land. The other thing you're saying, I don't know, our national service scheme, maybe you have to look at that again and see what we can use in answering your question about how do we drive interest in that area. We can try to maybe introduce young people to that, since it's a mandatory service people have to do. We can find a way, 6 months, 1 year, to be able to get them introduced to it properly, to see how we can sensitize them to go in that sector. But certainly we know, and when we were very young in school, agric is the backbone of Ghana's economy. We have to make true on that statement and to make sure that really we are, if for nothing at all, we can feed ourselves before the things we can't produce and make in our country. We use the money, the excess of our feed or food that we produce in our country to exchange for those other things we cannot produce. Now, I want to ask you, what percent of imports in rice production do we import to be able to achieve?
Well, you are talking in terms of the grains we import.
Yes, generally, no. In the production.
In the production.
The input.
The things
in
we,
rice
the
production.
input.
The input. What percent do we import?
The very things, the equipment we import into this country are one, the fertilizers. We also import the equipment like the tractors, the combine harvesters, and the processing mills. Okay. So these are the things we import. As for the seeds, we can prepare the seeds in this country.
So once you have, you can prepare from your own farm.
What they say is we can multiply how we can prepare the seeds in the country. And so, for example, if you buy one combine harvester, it will take a long time. Just like you are saying, if as a country we have decided to focus on agriculture, even if you have any intention of manufacturing equipment or machines, why shouldn't it be the agric equipment? We start with a tractor.
Yeah, so for example, if you decide that that's a combined harvester, right?
Yeah, this is the Taiwan. We have a crawler type.
Okay.
This one cannot harvest when they rain in the muddy areas.
Okay. Yeah. So, for example, what I see is this not something that we can build the capacity of KNUST to build for us?
Interestingly,
it should be
when
possible.
you bring the machines and then you're having problems, challenges, and you invite our local guys, sometimes they're even able to work on it better for you.
I think
so the capacity exists.
Yeah. It's about coordinating and
which one is this? Which one is this?
It's the combine harvester.
Yeah.
Okay. This combine harvester. Okay. Some of them are multi-purpose. Some you can harvest beans, soya beans, rice, maize. So some of them are multi-purpose.
Yeah, I think we have this also the Gratis Foundation.
Yes.
They are very fantastic in doing a lot of these things. So I think it's about trying to put together where
the basic equipment. A few months ago, we showed a picture of some basic cocoa drying machine that the Chinese have created. They got into that venture and they decided that look, they could create something to enhance the drying of the beans. I mean, it's a matter of common sense, applying yourself to what is important for you.
Yeah, it's coordination. It's coordination. We have the basic building blocks, but they're in silos. It's trying to knit them together so they can connect. Whether working with farmers, there's that coordination to be able to do it. That's why I'm saying that my brother probably should talk to his party for reassignment on a committee.
So this is the one that the Chinese developed.
Yes.
This is basic. It's no equipment that runs on electricity or anything.
You still use manpower.
Yeah.
So it's something we can create. It's not as if
we can easily do
kids in the technical schools or technical universities, young people there should be able to. This is not something that is beyond us.
No,
things like this.
Your welders by the streets can do
They
that.
should be able to.
I sent one guy to go to my farms and go and get me the estimate. He went from the agric engineering center. He went to, and then he gave me the estimate.
So they're doing the same thing for you.
You see, sometimes the motivation. As I speak to you now, Randy, do you know that farmers are even struggling to get their money when their cocoa beans are bought? As I speak to you now today. Sometimes you don't get it. When the people up here are chopping the big monies, the little small ones that are supposed to be given to the farmers, they struggle before they get the money. They struggle. You ask the minister for agric, he says, oh, we have paid. You go to the villages and the LBCs will say, oh, government is owing us. You go to farmers, they are not getting their money. Meanwhile, Cocoa Board is supposed to regulate the sector. So even if you have paid the money to the LBCs and they are not paying to the farmers, it is your responsibility to make sure that they pay to the farmers.
But you see, that's our problem in this country. I always say that you take decisions for a desired effect. It is your responsibility to find out whether that desired effect
is being
realized. You don't just end by saying that, oh yes, and I gave the directive, and these people were supposed to do it. You gave it for a desired effect. Has that effect occurred? So it's one thing. Our appreciation of leadership is worrisome. It's worrisome. Anyway, there's the issue of security or insecurity. You can put it whichever way you want to, depending on how you want to look at the glass. So security or insecurity. And, last week there was this video about the Forex Bureau directly opposite the police headquarters, where guys had gone to. And I guess the story behind it is the brazenness. The fact that people can go and do an operation 100 meters away from the police headquarters, it's just the brazenness. And in broad daylight, 1 p.m. Now, we've heard about yesterday's issue, and Netanyahu reports in the Ghanaian Times. A gunman yesterday killed a policeman and woman, injured 2 others after they attacked the bullion van at Adedempo near Jamestown in Accra in a daylight robbery. Okay, that's around my family house.
No, really?
Yes, my father's family house. The robbers, reportedly 4 in number on 3 motorcycles, were said to have broken the padlock on the van with registration number GTA 592W, shot dead the armed police man escorting the vehicle, made away with a service rifle and bolted with an unspecified amount of money. And on that score, please, let's be a bit sensitive. Yesterday I saw the pictures and videos. We should be sensitive to the families of such persons. I mean, very gory. And it looks like our interest in, we don't use what technology gives us on these phones. We don't use them to do business or research or, make money.
It's perverse.
I mean, it's just, it's the camera and the video. And every time we see, so people just went there and they took, videos and pictures. I mean, and just posted them. We need to be a bit sensitive, a bit empathetic. A mother of 4, identified as Ifra Bedu, was also hit by a stray bullet from the armed robbers while in her room. The policeman and others were reported to be going for daily sales collection from traders. The body of the policeman, identified as Constable Emmanuel Osei of the Special Weapon and Tactics SWAT, and Bedu have been taken to the police hospital mortuary. The injured, who were reportedly taken to the Kolibu Teaching Hospital, were a cashier and an accountant for treatment. And the head of public relations of Accra Regional Police Command, Deputy Superintendent of Police DSP Efia Tenge, confirmed the tragedy to the Ghanaian Times. She said unidentified men, not less than 3 motorcycles, crossed the van and fired shots sporadically, resulting in the death of the victims. DSP Tenge said the driver of the van suffered gunshot wounds and has been taken to the Kolibu Teaching Hospital, but 2 tellers on board the van escaped unhurt. And she appealed to the public to provide reliable information to the police to apprehend the suspects. And an eyewitness, Emmanuel Aloke, who spoke to the Ghanaian Times, said at 12 p.m., that's noon, the robbers on motorbikes arrived from different directions and attacked the van, shot the driver, assaulted the cashier and accountant who were on board the vehicle amidst firing. The eyewitness said residents ran helter-skelter and others hid under parked vehicles for their lives as the robbers fired indiscriminately. Now, talking about these bullion vans. So, we try to look at this thing. These vans are engaged in the activities for bullion vans, but
They are not.
They are not. Okay. So there's this directive dated 24th of December 2020, and it's written to Mr. Alassane Dani, who is the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Association of Bankers, and it's from the Bank of Ghana, signed by Alethea Godson Amamo. And it says armored bullion vans to be used for cash in transit activities. It says following the Bank of Ghana's meeting with cash operations managers of banks held on Thursday, 15th October 2020, Bank of Ghana hereby directs all deposit money banks, DMBs, and specialized deposit taking institutions, SDIs, to acquire armored plated bullion vans for its cash operations. The above directive is as a result of the spate of armed attacks during cash and transit activities, leading to loss of lives, currency, and destruction of sophisticated equipment, which has become a national security concern. Accordingly, DMBs and SDIs are required to comply with the following. 1. Phase out and replace all soft-skinned cash in transit vehicles presently in use with fit-for-purpose armored-plated vehicles with European Standard B6 ballistic protection for passenger compartment and European Standard B4 for cargo compartment. So the soft-skinned cash in transit vehicles, in fact, is the correct description of these ones. The pickups that you have, those things built at the back which serve as bullion. They in fact are called soft-skinned cash in transit vehicles. They are not bullion vans. Then it says involve Bank of Ghana in the procurement of the armored vehicles to ensure compliance with the requisite specifications. Bank of Ghana further directs that all DMBs and SDI should comply with the above directive by 1st of July 2023. After which Bank of Ghana will not admit any soft-skinned CIT vehicle into its premises nationwide. Please contact the Head Currency Management Department, Bank of Ghana, for any clarifications. So they've given them up to the 1st of July 2023. Now, in view of what happened yesterday, the police has also issued a statement signed by Sheila Kesi Abeye Bachman, Mrs. Superintendent of Police, the Director of Public Affairs. It says the IGP, Mr. James Opombuenu, has directed the Director General CID to take over the investigation into the attack on a bullion van at Adedenko, a suburb of Jamestown, which led to a murder of a police officer. 2. Preliminary investigations showed that unidentified armed men on a number of motorbikes crossed the bullion van, which was on a pay-collection errand at about 11 a.m. and shot at the police officer who was on escort duty on the van, killing him instantly. The armed men also fired sporadically in the air and on the driver, who sustained gunshot wounds and is responding to treatment. A hawker was also killed by the armed men when one of 2 ladies on the bullion van stepped out of the van and ran towards the deceased seller's direction. Both ladies on the van, tellers of Montran, escaped unhurt but were sent to the hospital to be treated for trauma. Crime scene experts have already visited the scene of a crime and are going through the necessary procedures. 3. The IGP is also reminding the Association of Bankers to provide fortified armored vehicles for carting currencies by close of June 2021, as earlier agreed between them and the police service, lest the police withdraws its officers for escort duties. Okay. So, the Bank of Ghana directive is talking about 1st July 2023. But the IGP says that they have met the Association of Bankers and they agreed that they should provide them immediately. And so they are giving them close of June 2021, that is in 15 days. Otherwise, the police will withdraw their officers from escort duties. Now, there is Abbas Emosabutu, who is the Executive Director of the Platform for Peace and Security. And he also has a take on this. He says that for the way forward, the Bank of Ghana must collaborate with security agencies to ensure that agents or private contractors accredited to provide bullion fund services do so only with armored cash transport vehicles. 2. Police officers assigned to escort armored cash transport vehicles, that's bullion vans, must be well attired, that's bulletproof vest and helmets. Officers must carry with them automatic weapons in order to facilitate the ability to ward off any form of attacks. 3. Armored cash transport vehicles, that's bullion vans, must ply only on marked roads. Plying on marked roads make it difficult for centralized surveillance. 4. Bank staffs, bullion van drivers must, as a matter of policy, undertake basic security awareness courses to enhance their chances of survival if and when they find themselves under attack. We'll probe this issue after the break.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining sets, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
Lawful wedded wife to have into home from this day forward.
I do.
Drama saying a bit mashe. I'm a winyaji. For HD Plus, who no feel. My HD Plus, nyanyon papa palma with HD TV. For star 879 hash for subscribe it. Not try we need to feel say see ya.
Blood gives life. Blood is very important. Let's donate blood to save lives. On Saturday, June 19th, 2021, Metro TV, Original TV, and Original FM humbly invite you to be part of blood donation exercise at the premises of Metro TV, close to Alisa Hotel on Dr. Isert Street at Northridge in Accra. The exercise will start at 7 o'clock in the morning. It is in commemoration of the World Blood Donation Day. Join us Save Lives as we donate blood for the Blood Bank. This exercise is in partnership with Blue Skies, Pharma Nova, and 3Fair. Share to save a life.
There's a place for people like you.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Shows brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. Still with me on the show, I have the Honorable Menta Akando and Richard Ayagba. Richard, this bullion van issue and what appears to be a certain level of insecurity and the brazenness with which robberies are happening. You know.
Yeah.
In fact, yesterday I also read a story about a lady in Kumasi who was just, killed in a car. In fact, it's supposed to be a special registered plate. And so I think the husband suspects that he is the one who the people were after. Apparently he had swapped cars with the wife. And he had a customized plate. That's the guy whose video came out where he was splashing dollars and it turned out that he was the aide or driver of Dr. KK Support. His wife, just yesterday, apparently he has a customized Range Rover. And he says he swapped cars with the wife. So he suspects that
they were looking for him.
He perhaps was the one they were looking for. They just gunned down the wife.
Yeah. Well, the issue of security actually is almost a going concern. So you can never arrive at a place where you said security in your country is absolute and therefore you have solved all security problems. That's never happened in a country. What it means is that continuously we must look at our security measures, intensify where the lapses are, strengthen them. But what is key is to sensitize the population, and maybe some of these moments we'll use to drive that discussion, that security in its essence is collective, and so that we must look at each other as complementing the security agencies to try to provide the level of security we all want or deserve as citizens. The recent records or maybe incidents of armed robbery, I think that calls for the police to step up and be able to not only be physically visible in communities, but to apply intelligence also, in a sense, being preemptive in fighting crime, because that is more effective. And in fact, that is where I think that in the midst of all that we're going through, we still will have to commend the security services across board to say that often the crime that goes unappreciated are the ones that we actually preemptively, thwarting, because once they're using intelligence, they are preempting and are, foiling some of these armed robberies or any form of crime that people are conceiving. It's a product of intelligence that often we don't realize how much they are doing and how much would have ensued if those preemptive security efforts are not present. So we need to support our police. We need to support all of our security agencies, especially national security, coordinating the efforts of all our security agencies to ensure that the population is safe, that people can go about their daily business and activities in peace and not be worried about any threat to their lives. The cutting of money, and I think that probably I hear the Association of Bankers are having some emergency meeting today, perhaps to look at what modalities. I think that they should look at how they move money, the timing. Accra is really, you know, it's traffic all through the day, really, at a certain point. I don't know if what options will come out, even with a bullion van, so to say, properly described, you still will run into problems if you are driving in traffic. The security of your money and everything else is there, but interruptions can happen, which still would create insecurity. So we need to look at, you know, soft measures that can be put in place, which would include, maybe, do we look at moving money at a certain time of the day or at a certain day of the week where the roads are seemingly clear, that you can start led by, you know, police escort, and then you can just head out and go to your destination. Some of these things, I suppose, will be what they are discussing. The disconnect between the Ghana, Bank of Ghana and the police, we talked about to see, is it a communication gap or the police responding because there's an emergency? Should we...
The police statement suggests that they've had an earlier meeting, because point 3 says the IGP is also reminding the Association of Bankers to provide fortified armored vehicles for cutting currencies by the close of June 2021, as earlier agreed between them and the police service, lest the police withdraws its officers for escort duties.
Yeah. So it's not very explicit, but is it suggesting that the end of June was a deadline agreed, or it's become imperative now because
this statement suggests that the end of June 2021 was earlier agreed. That's what the statement suggests.
Okay. Okay. So then I suppose.
But the Bank of Ghana's directive had made it July 2023.
But I think that Bank of Ghana statement was in 2020.
Yes, so 24th of December 2020.
So it didn't anticipate.
That's 6 months ago.
Exactly. Yeah. So the police actually are making theirs in context now to say that, given the circumstances, and I'm assuming that from what you're saying, there must be a meeting.
We can look at it from two points of view, although it would have been tidier if all the institutions were working together.
Yeah.
So one would be that as a regulator and the person responsible for licensing this things.
Yeah.
They believe that, look, maybe because of the cost outlay and all that, you needed to give them some 3 years to phase out and then introduce this thing. I mean, because this is not something that you do overnight.
Yeah.
You know, we pay for not doing the things we should have done many years ago.
Yes, yes.
That's what's happening.
And this is evidence.
Because somebody would even ask, why do we even approve or license pickups that you have just built something on top with the padlock as bullion vans?
Yeah.
You know, so the regulator says that I give you up to mid of 2023 to phase this thing out and use the proper thing. The police also, perhaps in response to what is happening to their men and being sensitive to the safety and security of their men, says that, look, you need to do it by end of June 2021.
Yeah.
Other than that, we will withdraw our men. So your regulator can give you up to July 2023. But if you want our men to escort the vans, you need to provide that by 2021. Otherwise, you can go on with your business, but you won't have personnel from the police service.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't know. I don't know if the police can really do that, but I think it's a nice way. Okay.
They can.
Really?
Yeah, they
withdraw
can.
Their service?
Yes, they can.
Okay. Well, okay. So so it's a paid service.
Yes, it is a paid service.
Okay. So
it's like the policemen at the banks.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that in view of what is happening, it is very likely Bank of Ghana will review its timeline because it didn't appreciate these current happenings when he fixed the date then. But we can commend them for having the foresight and realizing that even though initially they should have been done many years ago, because if you call a thing a bullion van, it must be a bullion van. It can't be a pickup that is a bullion van. It's clearly the case. But somehow they have the foresight of phasing those out. So I think we should engage this conversation with the understanding that there are interim measures that the police can take rather than say disengage, because really whatever is happening, their mandate is to provide.
So that's what is called a bullion van.
How can they call this?
Yes, how can this be? This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Just looking at it and calling it a bullion van, you just know it's a pickup. So it doesn't sound like they call it a bullion van. but so seriously, I think that the police they have a mandate, whether or not it's a paid service. They have a mandate to protect life and property. So inherently, that's a role they are fulfilling for Ghanaians. So even if they disengage, they cannot be totally extricated from any outcome from that, because really if they withdraw and something ensues, knock on wood, they will be the ones called to investigate it. So really it's about trying to figure out a way, and they must engage. I hope that the meeting that the bankers are having today, the police will be there to actually also contribute to the conversation. How then do we do? I think the Osabute, is it Adams? His statement suggesting
Abbas
Osabute, suggesting some kind of tactical adjustments to how we escort those monies. I think that
says police officers assigned. You would realize that there are people who are there are a lot of circulation of a 2019 statement made by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, where he attended a funeral of another police person who had been slain on this bullion van duties, where he promised that government was providing bulletproof and all those things for them. So what Abbas actually says is that they must be well attired. That's bulletproof vest and helmet.
Yeah, I think some others, I think in a statement, some other people are suggesting, that more than one personnel should be involved. This is a tactical, the police need to adjust their tactical approach to doing that. The visibility, security, which is just have a police officer, that is more or less for appearance. They must now move from the appearance to a more tactical approach to ensure that the vehicle that is carrying this money is protected. Even if it becomes a bullion van, you still have to have that tactical backup. If that vehicle is moving and before it and after it, or on the sides there are vehicles that are dedicated of plainclothes or police officers ready to support if there's any eventual happening, that should be where we move to. But by all means, let's get a bullion vans, properly so-called, and then ensure that there's a tactical support that goes with it. But this situation, I would be pained if somebody assumed that it's a once in a history occurrence. My understanding of security is that it is continuous. You cannot have a stop in history to say that this is where security was the best and this is where we achieve absolute security. We have to continue to work at it to ensure that every day Ghanaians wake up, the security forces are up and doing to protect and provide that peace of mind for Ghanaians to go about their daily activities.
All right. Bravo.
Yeah, Randy, I think security is one of the most important issues that the citizenry require of any, group of leaders at the helm of affairs, to be able to protect them, to go about their normal duties. Obviously, reading through the letters you have read, we seem to know the answers to this particular problem, except that we are not following up to the directives and the discussions we do. Because obviously, I think that reading this statement, we all have realized that there's a need to replace all the soft-skinned cash in transit vehicles to, armored plated vehicles. And so that is what I think that we should be looking at and give our policemen some minimum protection the helmet, the bulletproof vest, and what have you. Because this is the increasing surge in crime is becoming highly unacceptable. And so I believe that the IGP must up his game and try to put measures in place, especially the cameras we have in the cities. I remember last Parliament, they brought an agreement to Parliament to secure about $100 billion for what they call Alpha B project, to increase the number of CCTV cameras in our cities. I don't know what has become of that particular project, but we need to get more of these CCTV cameras in our cities, and where they are dysfunctional, we have to replace them. I think our security cannot be left like that. We have to, or else we have ourselves to be blamed.
Right. Okay, so on an earlier discussion, Marco Jobo was in the US sent me this one. It says that farming is big-time business. Do you know that all the fries at McDonald's are grown on the farmlands of Bill Gates? It says, so it's not Microsoft alone that brings the cash. He's into big-time farming.
If you go into those countries, the farmers are the one.
Yeah, that's almost about 1.6%, or if it's increased now, of the population that engages in agriculture. But theirs is heavily.
But it's serious
mechanized.
agriculture.
Yes, it's heavily mechanized. Very, very well mechanized. I think that's
but we can do it.
Yes,
that's where. Do it.
You see, I think you should take this up, really. With a passion. Really, let's drive a conversation.
Because one of our viewers, Tutanko, who says that he likes that part of the discussion, and it's his hope that the next discussion will also be about the livestock part of it.
Yeah, that's very important.
Because apparently, after harvesting, the straws go waste. Meanwhile, at a point in time in the year, the cattle find it very difficult to graze in that part of the country. So what are we doing?
And elsewhere, right? Cattle farmers don't graze their cattle the way we do here. There's an economy really just around feed production, really, so that the problems attendant with herdsmen and destroying people's farms and all of that, we can actually deal with that issue if they
are confined and consigned
to a space, and that makes it neater. And you can control any disease that comes, and I think we can do that.
I went to Israel and I met a farmer, and he looked into my eyes and said, because I'm a farmer, anywhere I go, I look out for those things. And he said to me that if they have the type of or the size of land we have in Ghana, they will be feeding the whole world.
Oh, but I mean, anytime I see the greenhouse farming, I'm sure I've told you several times, it just tells me how intelligent and wise we are in this country. Look, Israel is a desert. It's a desert. So to feed themselves, they've looked up to technology in order to feed themselves. And so they've used technology to be able to feed themselves. Now we have all the arable land, despite having wasted 80% of our forest cover. God is still merciful to our tomfoolery, and we think that it is hippie to go greenhouse farming. The person who went greenhouse is because it's a desert, and went to look out for technology in order to feed. You have all the arable land.
Can do it.
What a sensible group of people we are.
We can do it. We know the solutions. We just think them, but we don't implement them. That's the problem. Because clearly, this government knew very well that bringing irrigation to the northern part of the country was going to change the game. That is why they included it in their manifesto. You remember One Village, One Dam? It could have changed the story. It could have changed the story.
You see, and so on that, that is a project that is still being worked on. There's no terminal end for it. It's being worked on. And you know about the Kwalugu Dam. That is going to facilitate. No. That's going to facilitate irrigation massively. So I think that is there. The vision is there. It's being worked on. I am telling you, and you, Senior, remember you and I, we've had a conversation on how is it that people on the ground must take.
Table.
No.
The second table.
But you see,
So
I mean,
please,
how?
Please.
There's no termination point for life. You understand?
Please,
and especially you're the ones who speak that language to say that government is a continuum. And so if government is truly a continuum, from first term to second term, there's no break. You are continuing to develop this country, and I think that's an effort that is commendable, and we must charge government to continue and not to, stay away from that. And it hasn't been stopped. It's been done. And the manifesto issue you're talking, the one village, one dam situation, really did not even include the Palogo Dam, which has come to actually show that up. So the thing is to have the conversation. The thing is to stay with the conversation and validate the idea to be a worthy idea that needs backing. And all of us must invest. And one of it, to help that, is for you to switch committee. Because really, to be a committee that can utilize your...
Anywhere that the country didn't face that, I think I can.
No, this is
perform.
your party.
Unless, of course, you think I'm not performing at the health committee.
No, but I think that optimally you'll be useful. And
are you a member of the Food and Agriculture?
No, I'm a friend. I go there. Okay. But you see, one very interesting thing about...
Do you participate actively in their...
Sometimes I go. But you see, one very interesting thing, and I keep challenging you people. Oh, we've done some dugouts. We are doing, dams in the northern part of the country. Richard, you have not done any dam in the northern part of the country.
No, that's not true.
I'm coming. You see, the intention of doing the dam or constructing the dam is to irrigate the farm, okay? So if you go and dig a hole, okay, and then the rains enter, you don't call it an irrigation scheme.
No, nobody.
Because the purpose of that dam is to irrigate. So when you ask, now people can even go and fetch it to you. Really, once you have promised that, 18 months after coming to power, no village will be complaining of.
They promise.
Very good.
One village, one dam. They didn't promise one village, one
irrigation. Now, what's the purpose of? What was the purpose?
No, I get you. I get the point you're making.
That's what we should get to.
But but what's the essence of promising a dam? Tell me why? Why should they promise a dam?
Because one, that's
it's for irrigation.
For irrigation.
The rationale was that look, in that part of the country,
water is a problem at a certain time of the year.
Water for the purposes of
planting,
farming,
but generally water also for consumption. Was a problem.
What's the idea for the dam?
No, I'm just saying water generally is a problem. I grew up in the north. I grew up in Upper West. Okay?
Really?
Yeah.
Which part?
Wa. Yeah, that's
right.
My father was working there at the time. He was a police officer. So I grew up, and I know how water problems are. Okay? So the point is that the one village, one dam proposition was fundamentally to help solve the water problem. Okay? And that water problem, when solved, can facilitate, please. Water problem, when solved, can facilitate water for drinking.
I'm sure that, Richard, you know very well that those dugouts, with just the rains entering them, obviously cannot be for the purposes of consumption. Human consumption.
Let's face it.
It cannot be. They cannot be.
It cannot be.
No, please.
Those dugouts, as dug.
No, please.
With the rainwater.
The cows enter all the time.
They cannot be for purposes.
But that, please. I am telling you.
I guess the ultimate. No, it is not that. Yeah. It's not that it's not true that they have issues with water. That's not the point.
And so
I'm just saying that the dugout
shouldn't be the solution.
Was for purposes of irrigation, so that they can have like all year round farming.
But then the ultimate.
So the point he's making is that if we just dig the places and we don't put in place what will make irrigation possible, then the purpose for which we dug those things will not be achieved.
Yeah. But you see, that's where we need the clarity in terms of what the vision and the promise was. Okay? Was to do a dam, and you clarified that there wasn't, say, one village, one irrigation. But what I am telling you clearly is that the consumption I'm talking about is not necessarily just to drink, but those waters are used in domestic affairs. I'll tell you something, just here in Accra, yesterday. You know, when you are connecting from Emmanuel Eye Clinic, to get on the main road.
Yes.
I had a shocking
on the one way.
On the one way, getting back here. There's that gutter over there.
Yes.
There is a shack.
On the left side.
On the left side. Yeah. There's a shack there, and I saw a woman fetching water from that gutter and then pouring. They stay along that side. But I'm talking to you about the state of water at a certain period.
Okay, so that's it. So this obviously
cannot be for consumption.
Yes.
But people can use this to do domestic
activities.
They shouldn't. Please.
No.
You are talking about things that you have not experienced. I'm telling you about the extreme lack of water situation. Okay?
This shouldn't be the solution to that problem.
Please.
Give them more.
Richard, I think you're dealing with two issues here.
Yes. So I'm saying
one, you're dealing with a problem that has existed, which we should find a solution for.
I agree.
So this cannot be the solution
to your problem you are describing.
But it's okay. But I'm just saying that the promise of one village, one dam was to solve a water problem. Okay? Was not to solve an irrigation problem.
Really?
I'm saying that the context of that promise, the way he's saying that if you dig a dam and then you don't connect an irrigation to it, then you have not done anything at all. The promise in its essence was to make sure that there's a dam in every village, which there was massive investment to ensure that that was done. So if you discount that to say that there was no dam done at all because it was not linked, there was not an irrigation aspect of it, then I'm saying that you are mischaracterizing the promise that was made.
Can you give me the opportunity to clarify myself with all respect? The point I'm making, number one, the promise you made was one village, one dam for all year farming. That was the promise. Okay. Now, I agree with you that there are, water challenges in the northern part of the country. There's no question about that. Okay. Now, if you promise that...
So let me just read this for clarification. So this says that one village, one dam, and this is under the Ministry of Special Development Initiatives, as it were. You know. And it says the construction of small earth dams across communities of the 5 northern regions is the main project under the One Village, One Dam initiative. This IPEP initiative seeks to provide all-year availability of water for smallholder farmers in communities, particularly in the 5 northern regions. This initiative is expected to improve productivity and incomes of smallholder farmers significantly and bring about improvements in rural livelihoods. Ultimately, it is also expected to improve food security and curtail migration from the north to the south in search of jobs during the off-farm season. Okay.
So you see, Randy, if you go anywhere and you say that, it is also for domestic, this disgusting thing, you encourage people to go and fetch this water to their various homes. It's not. It's highly unacceptable. Of course, I agree. That is a challenge. But if a government is providing it,
that's why
I agree. I come from a rural community, but I'm saying that if a government is providing a solution to such a situation, Randy, should this be the solution?
But no, that is not the singular solution.
Especially when you are promised that after 18 months of your government, there wouldn't be any village in this country, okay, that there will be the need for water. Okay, so this obviously was for agricultural purposes, and we have failed.
So we need to speed up.
We have failed.
Now, I really appreciate the tone of conversation, but you see, my brother is drifting to an area where I find that it's going to mess up the conversation we're having. Really, because you had an 8 year. That's okay. No, you can engage. You had a situation where 8 years is passed. Okay, assume that 8 years before 2016 MPP 8 years started. If those dams were done, this time perhaps it will be the irrigation connection that can be done. You understand? No, please. I'm making a point to say that you cannot sit conveniently to indict a government to say that, they dig a dam, and if that's what they can do, then it's what? Okay. Well, if you had done that, it would have been expanded, because really, you say these things about government is a continuum. So I'm actually looking at how we solve a problem. And if a promise is made to do that, it can be built upon. Okay. So let's not act as though Ghana just began in 2016. Okay? We are working in a continuum. If for example, there is an effort today, it can always be improved.
For example, in the document, the report, and in all documents presented to Parliament, we said that, for example, the Ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, specifically the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority, have commenced the implementation of the One Village, One Dam initiative. A total of 570 sites have been identified for the construction and rehabilitation of small dams and dugouts by the end of 2018. So won't it be legitimate for anybody in the middle of 2021, 3 years on, to raise issues about it?
Absolutely. I'm not quibbling about that.
Randy,
I'm only saying, just 1 second. I'm concerned about the characterization of the thing as not having delivered, okay, and making it appear as if government really has, one, the vision is not relevant, and two, that it did not deliver on it. And that, for me, is where we need to move forward and have a conversation. We talked about having consensus and try to build this country forward.
Richard, on the basis of the discussions we've been having this morning, shouldn't we be worried that there was an intended objective? So we did not just speak about the dugouts or the small dams just for the sake of it. There was an intended objective, and the policy document says so.
Yeah.
So, after all these years, shouldn't we be finding out how come the intended objective is not being achieved?
Yes, certainly. I'll be very honest.
Because I'm not sure that the objective was to show 570 pictures, but it was to show that, look, this was intended to achieve this. It has been completed, and it is achieving same.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I don't have any status update on the dams as we speak. Right. But I know that the places that where...
Some have been done.
Some have been done. Mm. And the places where some have been done, I've been in the north and I see a couple of them. Okay. Yeah? So it's been done. I think that the conversation should be building on that. And especially the tone we adopted this morning is supposed to be forward-looking, and where we need to draw government's attention and say that this needs to be done or this needs to be strengthened, let's do that. But before that, let's give credit where credit is due. And that's just the point I wanted to make.
Right. Randy, how can I give credit to the pictures you are looking at the moment? Credit to these pictures? I mean, the intention was clear, and he was asking, we have been in power for 8 years. If we had done this and that. You see, the difference was that we were doing irrigation dams. We were not calling them one village, one dam. Okay? So, under His Excellency John Dramani Mahamad's government or the NDC government, they will do an irrigation scheme, and then it will come with its all attendant accessories so that we'll be able to get available land to irrigate for the purposes of agriculture, without giving them names. And there are a number of examples. I was mentioning Asukare one, I was mentioning some are in the Volta region, some are even in my constituency.
But it's pretty obvious that we need a lot more.
Exactly.
That is how come.
That is why I'm saying that
one village, one dam is relevant.
To accelerate.
If you promise, especially when you include it in your manifesto and you tout it and you go and do this after 4 years, 5 years, and you say we should come and build on.
All right. There are three questions from practitioners in Agric. I would raise them. Okay. So the first one, he is into rice like you, in Tamale. Okay. He says, farming is not as simple as Honorable is describing it. Climate change is serious. Yeah. For instance, it's very difficult to predict the rains this time around. And I'm sure that you raised that issue as well. Now, there are two others. This is from Kofi Chikata, who's also into serious livestock, piggery and all that. Okay, he does value addition. Okay. He doesn't just rear the pigs for. And he says that I think it's the perception about farming and farmers in Africa. Yeah. Everything about farming is related to the poor. Even pictures used to advertise a program about farming is made of a poor environment or people. Imagine Honorable Akando's picture on a farming magazine. It will change the story. That's Kofi T. Then Mark Felix, who's in West Legon, he also says that their poultry farmers can't get wheat brown and cheap maize to buy. Government should help them.
Yeah. These are the policies we are talking about. For example, first and foremost, I made mention of the fact that there are challenges in there. So, and when you are motivating or encouraging people to come into the sector, you don't start with the challenges they will confront. Obviously, if I should tell you my story, you will not believe it. In fact, when I started farming, in the first 2 years, I was not making any profit. In the first 2 years, at a point in time, I had a produce, I had a very high yield. I didn't have a combined harvester to have, and they had to go bad. You understand? I mean, there are a lot of challenges in the field, but I mean, there's nothing that, if you don't take risk, there's no way you will succeed. So I agree to those challenges. And there should be that environment for farming and agribusiness to thrive in this country. There should be a larger conversation. I mean, that's all I can say about
Apart from me, I mean, have you convinced many others to go
a lot of my members of parliament. Now Sohini is there. Now Honorable Adongo is there. Now I can mention about 5 names. I mean, and then as and when they come back, we talk. Recently, Honorable Sohini came to buy one of the combine harvesters to his farm. So we are trying to, you see, it must be the people who can invest in the sector. It is not my grandmother or my grandfather as we have left it to be. If you go to Cote
That
d'Ivoire,
was just to feed their family.
Exactly, this peasant one. In Cote d'Ivoire, during Fufu Boigny's time, if you were not a farmer,
it was obligatory.
It was obligatory to have a farm. You understand? So we must
For
make
all
that
ministers
conscious,
and all that. You needed
that
to
conscious effort, especially the Broiler project we began. What has come of it? What has become of that Broiler project? So I think that there must be that larger, a conversation. Then we all share ideas. The minister cannot sit in the ministry, and then the buffer stock people cannot be doing their own thing. Then planting for food will also be doing their own thing. Then the farmer is struggling. The farmer doesn't know the minister.
Interestingly, the minister is also a practitioner. He's also a farmer. Yes.
I think the connections must be drawn. You know, talk about buffer stock. We have the school feeding. We have the secondary schools and the rest of them that are fed. So there should be some kind of synergy, a relationship that gets this arms or areas working together to make sure that there is market, there is information that goes to the farmer, so that all of this can work together to ensure that the ecosystem.
We are here saying that we have a lot of power, a lot of capacity that is going waste. Instead of us to encourage more people to bring these small machines for processing so that we can make good use of this power, we are charging exorbitantly. We can't even subsidize the people who are adding value to our farm produce.
And we expect them to compete with
exactly. That's the big
importers.
That is the big planting for. What do you call free SHS are buying rice from outside the country.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying. That they have to coordinate. But you see, so beyond these platforms are huge platforms that raises the issue. And I have a problem with my brothers from Parliament.
They're not part of my leadership in Parliament.
We'll go tell them. That's why I'm making the point repeatedly. But you see, beyond that too, you see, these things must go to Parliament. I'm hoping that we can have this conversation in Parliament. Why? You can raise questions on the floor of Parliament. Why is it that agri inputs are taxed at a certain rate? Probably that's something we need to have a conversation about. Should we have to, because of
the equipment are duty free?
Yeah.
When they are bringing equipment, it's been there for some time now.
Yes.
Like any equipment that is purposely for farming, you don't pay duty on them.
Is there a percent?
No,
about 5%
you don't pay. But you see, there are other charges.
Small charges.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
So I'm just saying that. So those can be taken off, so that as part of a policy framework to drive agribusiness, we can do that, and sometimes even manufacturing and processing equipment. So these are things that lie squarely in your bosom to be able to raise in Parliament, and have a conversation about it that has a policy backing to be able to change some of these things to make it more attractive.
All right, Mr. Alex Mode, former CEO of GMPC. Today is your birthday.
Okay.
So happy birthday.
There are people in June.
Yes.
If you are not born in June, you must be born again.
Hey.
Oh, really?
Madam Veronica Ade, former Deputy Director of Finance and Administration of Ghana Immigration Service. Today is your birthday. So happy birthday from Titi Kateno. So happy birthday to you, Madam Veronica Ade. And as for my big brother, Alex, okay, that's him. I know he won't do a party, so I won't even waste my time.
Yeah, who sometimes even forget.
He won't throw a party. When I speak with him, he either will give me data, or he'll it will make me laugh. He has a very solid sense of humor.
Okay. Okay, you know, yesterday...
Or he'll give me data, information.
Yeah. Yesterday, I was told that you wished Dr. Mustafa Hamid a birthday here.
Yes, his 50th.
Yesterday was his birthday. And also your friend Pius Haji there too.
Oh, yesterday was his birthday.
Okay. I think there's one other person. I
haven't seen him in a long while.
Yeah, myself.
Yeah. But I should tell my brother the month in which to be born.
Okay.
That month is March.
It's March.
Interesting. Interesting.
So you can swap. Okay.
So your birthday is past?
No, it's 19th of this month.
19th?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you can swap.
Well, that's just around the corner.
Yes.
It falls on a weekend.
Sometimes I even forget.
You forget your birthday?
I've never celebrated my birthday before. Celebration.
Hey.
I remember last 2 years.
I
I remember last 2 years I was on my way to a farm and MTN sent me a message. Okay. That's when I realized that the day was my birthday.
But I think women are more particular about birthdays, not men.
Apart from this year, because of COVID, apart from this year, for the last 20 years,
wow,
I always have a bash.
Wow.
On my birthday. No.
The city guys. Me, village poor. I didn't know anything like.
See, let me tell you something.
Party in my village.
You know where I come from? My father's people. The day God calls me, they perhaps even block the high street.
And they will jump.
Have you heard of Gonyo Party? And they will jump to the extent that my corpse will be sad that I died.
So you want to jump whilst you are here?
Whilst you are alive.
Whilst I'm alive.
You must jump.
It's unfortunate sometimes when you're not born with something, it has become part of you, you know? But my children are so much particular about their birthdays.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they do celebrate you, don't they?
They do. I've told them, I want them not to surprise me. If they surprise me, they will surprise themselves.
Anyway. Now, ranking member health. What is your beef with us getting Sputnik 5?
Randy, when you are in a pandemic, the decisions you take and the time you take those decisions are all very critical. And let me give one or two examples to establish this point. For example, Randy, at a point in time, we needed to do testing at the Kotoka International Airport. So we had to preserve it for a private company to come and do the testing. We made all manner of attempts to draw government's attention that the direction in which government was going was wrong. We said that at that time it was Noguchi that was at the forefront of the testing, so we could have allowed Noguchi to start, to do the testing at the Kotoka International Airport. When today we are told Frontier has made millions of dollars.
In 4 months, they made $16+ million.
Exactly.
And the government agencies,
exactly.
So all put together, government of Ghana made 1.1 million.
Exactly.
In 4 months.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if this money had gone to Noguchi?
Well, but they also put in, as far as the setup is concerned, they also invested some money.
Of course, I agree. But the investment, you think that Noguchi couldn't have invested?
In fact, the state, you see, if we have the kind of monies that we are signing vaccine contracts with.
Exactly.
Especially when these things are not things that we are going to get any money back. It even betrays the rationale behind that airport contract. Because this one, you're putting money in a setup that you're going to reap over and over and over and over again. And yet we decided that we will not invest in it. So if you look at what we're doing with the vaccine and what happened at the airport.
You understand? So
we can only be the most,
that is the point.
The most prudent and brilliant people and patriotic people in this world.
You see, so Randy, that is the point I was seeking to establish. Number two, the second point I want
I don't like the smile on your face, Richard.
the mischief level.
I'm in the spirit.
The second point I want to make, for your information, before Parliament, during the budget estimate, we've spent about 19 billion Ghana cedis. The parent ministry, that was at the forefront of the fight against COVID-19, when they appeared before us, the Ministry of Health, they could account for only 600 million Ghana cedis out of the 19 billion. As I speak to you now, we don't know where that money went to. Number 3, Randy, the ministry appeared before the committee, presented to us a budget that they were going to buy vaccines, and that they were not going to buy vaccines that will cost us more than $10 per dose at the committee.
That's what they told us.
That is what they told us at the committee. We even asked them the types of vaccines they were going to buy and the sources and all that. And they said, as far as they are concerned, Johnson & Johnson have been approved here, AstraZeneca, and then Sputnik. So we approved. And then, so what we're waiting for is that if it's going to be an international agreement, they will then come back to Parliament to seek the ratification of that particular agreement. We didn't hear of them again, as we have been doing. Anytime we get another wave, we all be talking about it. When it drops, then we all go to sleep. This is what we have been doing. Then I was there, I was called by a journalist. He says he's calling from, he comes from Norway, and that he wants to meet me to have a discussion with me. Randy, I must be honest with you, initially I was not willing to open up. So he came with some local journalists, and after listening to them, I realized that they were on a very good mission. So I had to explain what I know about these verses, just like I have done now. Randy, it came to light that Ghana government has signed an agreement with, a company that a certain sheikh in Dubai is involved in, that we are buying the vaccines at $19 per dose. Randy, there are 2 issues here. According to the WHO, which we are, and Ghana represents on the executive board this year, WHO, that we are not supposed to engage middlemen when we are dealing in vaccines. And that what they said was that we risk getting substandard vaccines if we do that. And in fact, according to the Ghana Medical Association, when the minister met them, he also made it emphatically clear that they were not going to deal with middlemen because of the high protection the vaccines require. So they were going to deal with government to government or government to the manufacturer. Apparently, Sputnik had issued a press statement in Russia that nobody in the international market should buy a dose of Sputnik more than $10.
Yeah, through the DFID.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and we are in Ghana, number 1, we are dealing with intermediaries. The first question is that, why are we not doing the government to government thing?
The ministry statement said that they contacted Vladimir Putin, not his office or himself, and the Russian government. And the state, you go and read the statement. It's not Putin's office.
That's what
they contacted Putin himself and all the agencies. And then in Ghana, the deputy ambassador
yeah.
And it didn't work out. So even Putin, discussions with Putin couldn't yield anything.
So it tells you that they are up to something. This doesn't add up. Randy, the most interesting aspect is that, do you know Sputnik is in this country doing clinical, they are doing clinical
trials? Yes.
So the very company you are looking for, that you cannot see in any part of the world, they have gone through your institutions, they've gone through FDA, they've gotten
They have dealt with us, we've asked them to come and use our people.
Clinical trials in Ghana, and you come and tell me that you are looking for them, they are not successful. Will you believe this story?
I said they spoke with Vladimir Putin. Putin himself. It didn't work out.
So it means that now we hit the rock.
Yeah. Putin himself, it didn't work out. So they had to go through a sheikh.
So you see, we are concentrating on intermediaries. That's all we are interested in. We are not interested in looking for the vaccines from government to government or government to the manufacturer. And we are at a very high risk, apart from even the pricing. You go and buy something at $10, and then you come and sell it at $19 per dose. You know, Randy, if you remember, there was a point in time that the minister...
Mind you, you see, this will not be the only cost as far as the vaccine is concerned.
Deployment.
We have a second leg of costs.
Yes, deployment.
All those things.
Deployment. They brought the budget. So the deployment, we are costing the deployment between $3 to $5 per dose. deployment. So, it is not all the $19. So, we are going to be beyond $22 per dose.
Haven't you seen the $26 one? You've not seen that one?
I've seen that one too.
When the 19 is for 3.4 million doses. The $26 is for 5 million doses.
That's what we are doing to ourselves. And they
all because we spoke with Putin, but he couldn't help us.
And so the contract is something else, and people must be made to answer questions. And if there's any sanctions meted out today, because you can't decide to take it all of us for a ride like that. There are critical questions that they must answer. Because there are countries who have done it. You go to Rwanda, Kenya, South Africa. What were we doing? What were we doing? The vaccines started coming into the international market somewhere around January. In March, COVAX brought us some, dosage. What were we doing? All this while we were talking. We were talking that, we have targeted 20 million people, we are going to vaccinate. The actual budget or money we have put aside for that particular purpose, nobody knew it. So anytime after first wave, we went to sleep and we had a second wave, after second wave, we've gone to sleep again. And experts are warning that there's a looming third wave. As I sit here, as a ranking member on the committee, Richard, if anybody asks me, when are they going to roll out the next phase of the vaccination, I don't know. Meanwhile, we had indicated to the minister that he must appear before the committee to update us. In fact, Randy, according to their own COVID-19 development and vaccination plan, they were supposed to vaccinate not less than 7 million people by 2nd of June. Not less than 7 million. As I speak to you now, Randy, here is it. Check it.
But scarcity of vaccines, we know that.
Yeah. Of course, but what were we doing?
Because people, look, our lack, for especially for those of us who've had second doses, our lack is that DR Congo, did not utilize its 1.7, and therefore 1.3 million had to be shared amongst 5 countries, and Ghana was one of the 5. That's how come we got the 300 and something thousand.
For the second,
Yes.
And right, do you know that there are still a number of people who have taken the first jab, and we don't have access to the system?
No, according to government's data, we vaccinated about 900,000 people, the first dose. Because apart from the COVAX one, you had MTN and others that brought in some. So we did about 900,000. Okay. So we're waiting for the second dose. That's what led government to revise the 8 weeks to 12 weeks. Now, even by the statement dealing with the Sputnik, the ministry indicates that COVAX informed government that we will get the AstraZeneca end of June, so in 2 weeks. So it's in 2 weeks that we expect to get the more COVAX, the AstraZeneca, for at least those who are waiting for their second dose, before we now think of the next group. Yes, the next group to.
If you are not very careful, even those who have taken the first jab and have not had the opportunity to take it, they will lose their immunity. If you are not very careful.
And you see, if you read the statement, we are even told that we had to go into the suppliers market and deal with all these middlemen because of the end of June deadline. Today is mid-June. Where is the Sputnik?
So the stories are not adding up.
Putin is still holding on.
The minister is not talking. He seems not to care. And I don't know what's happening. I don't. You decide to go and buy, a dose of vaccine at $19. The people are right here in Ghana. You tell us, we are still engaging with, when will we get the results? What the common Ghanaian or the ordinary Ghanaian wants to see is that he or she has been vaccinated. When is that going to take place? We've gone to sleep. And the only way, per the experts, the only way we can avoid the third wave is mass immunization or mass vaccination. We should be able to vaccinate a certain number of people in order to achieve the herd immunity. And so we are all at risk. So my brother, as for this particular deal, it's unconstitutional, should be declared null and void, and somebody must answer questions to this.
Just hold on.
I don't envy Richard today at all.
I need to try. I need to try and see if I can reach Mr. Putin.
Football pa and Nuntin high sense as sponsor Euro 2020 Edia Mauno the Sasuntin Ayatiti TV so say who Edia Mauno a high sense Euro 2020 TV super promo can who brand new high sense TV and board that form pictures near clear na color near deep sound quality this so dear one it here high sense TV so dear entry power about down one access you are akona utusa barefoot 18th June, I confirm 11th July. A high sense Euro 2020 TV super promo. And my refuse high sense and 5 years warranty. A high sense Euro 2020 TV super promo. A cost to high sense showrooms. I want Ghana for Nanina. What you dear Nansenya? High sense everyday prices for everyday people. High sense official sponsor at the Euro 2020.
Right, welcome back to the show.
Did you get Putin?
I couldn't. Just like the Minister of Health, I could not reach President Putin.
Okay.
I couldn't.
Okay. Better luck next time.
Yes. I couldn't. So maybe Richard
may help.
Will be able to.
Very important.
Well, maybe I need to call my brother Lionel for a line in Russian.
Well, you know, I totally have been following this conversation, but the one thing I tend to agree with is that generally the concern is being that the unit cost per vaccine is high, and therefore something needs to be done about that, and also the adherence to WHO protocol that prohibits the use of middlemen. That is, I think, an explicit directive that perhaps needs to be adhered to. But I am thinking that to the extent that middlemen were brought in, there is some allowance and perhaps a pause that we need to be able to assess the context in which that contract or the contract for the Sputnik V was conceived. Was it in an era where our chances are really one that we're racing against time, and that because of the emergent nature of the challenge we want to deal with the vaccine, we needed a certain speed to be able to achieve the presence of the vaccines in Ghana to vaccinate Ghanaians. And to my brother's submission, they talked about having to achieve herd immunity requires that we inoculate a certain % of the population. And so that is also a factor we have to look at, really in assessing the mindset of the officials who engaged in reaching the deal or contract for the vaccine to be here. I choose to be a bit more less skeptical to say that there's a probability that under the circumstance, individuals who are working on this are looking at a situation where they find that they must work at a certain speed because people's lives are in the balance, and so that they must go a certain length to ensure that we bring the vaccines to the country to be able to vaccinate Ghanaians. So on one hand, whilst we can agree that, or can argue reasonably, that the cost of it, given our financial situation, we can actually get it less, or wait and go through a process of actually dealing directly. I think the
Richard,
Sputnik V.
You see, Israel.
Yeah.
Israel wanted to achieve the herd immunity very, very early. So what it did was that
they paid a bit more.
It ordered and paid a premium.
Yeah,
that's the way to go.
It ordered and paid a premium
deposit,
so that it gets it at the time that it got it to achieve herd immunity.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
You don't sit in this country.
That's the point.
And you tell me that you go and sign 26, 19, 13, and say that, oh, and the life of people is, we're prepared to pay anything, and you couldn't reach Vladimir Putin.
Yeah. No. So there is no disagreement on the matter. I mean, for me. But I'm just saying.
As for Putin, we must reach him.
Have you tried?
You see,
you are on the health committee.
You see, Richard, look, for all the things that we say about ourselves and how we assert ourselves, you remember that speech that President Akufo-Addo gave at that, is it the Franco-Africa Summit in Paris?
Yes.
You know, you remember that speech?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Juxtapose that speech to a situation where Russia needs to do trials for its new COVID vaccine, the one-dose vaccine, and is able to deal with Ghanaian authorities and to have permission. And Russia is currently in Ghana, engaging in the trials for their single-dose Sputnik 5.
Yeah.
Yet we say that
Sputnik Light.
Yes, they call it Sputnik Light. That will be the one dose. They are here in Ghana.
FDA has cleared them.
Yet we say that as for us, we couldn't reach them. In fact, we couldn't reach Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, but I mean, so that's I mean, I'm not contesting that with you. What I am saying is that all of that said,
Kwame Nkrumah is Ghana.
Okay, there is some responsibility.
Profiting from a pandemic.
Yeah.
How can you be that heartless?
I'm just saying. So we need senior. You're on the health
from
committee.
The arrangements at the airport.
So you cannot wring your hands
from
in
the
air.
arrangements at the airport to Sputnik 5. Profiting from a pandemic.
Yeah. So we're saying that that's why all of us must be citizens to engage a conversation to say this one. The contract, we think that the country, we don't have or we cannot contain the cost of this because, why? There are alternative arrangements that we can make to get the vaccines at the cheaper cost. And Syria, what is the cost, okay, in wanting to get it through the approved means, right?
Government to government or from the manufacturer.
Exactly. And then also, whilst we are going to do that, is it an assumption we're making that it's going to take a bit more time, right? So that when assuming, I'm not assuming you're calling Vladimir Putin's office and you're not getting him, and you're calling the company, you're not getting him, that puts a burden on you to try every means possible. Maybe the agency here that is doing the trials and everything. But you know clearly that in going through that channel, okay, there will be some cost in terms of time. Okay, are you willing to risk the time cost to say that by the time you are able to make that final arrangement through the lay down protocols to be able to get a vaccine, are we going to be risking people's lives at that time? Okay, and could that be the reasoning that led people to short-circuiting it and going this route? Which we're just literally just examining the issue. Could that be a reasonable basis for people to want to do it at a record speed to ensure that we get a vaccine?
You know what I think?
And get people.
You know what I think? Rather than substitute, Is this a reasonable basis?
Yeah.
Substitute basis with excuse.
Yeah.
Okay. So
can I come in here?
Yeah, but let me just okay. So the point I am making is that it is legitimate for us to question, okay, what appears to be excessive, okay, unit cost for the vaccine. But are we in the same vein looking at what may have informed that approach, which could clearly be the pandemic mindset to say that we want to save lives now? And the conclusion or the question we have to ask there is that is a cost we are trying to avoid in terms of human life? Is it compelling enough that we are willing to spend that amount of money? Could we wait and still work at a certain speed and still save lives? So those are issues that needs to be resolved. And I'm assuming that if we want to be charitable, those who are working on this may have decided.
How can you be charitable?
By making allowance.
So, just hold on. Why must you even be charitable to people who don't think about charity in a pandemic?
But yeah, there's assumptions we're making. I'm quite unable to be, very categorical because
when you're unable to be
the framework.
When you, Richard Ahiagba, is unable to be categorical about an issue, it's pretty obvious to the viewers, not me, what it is.
What you are saying, just
I say, if you, Richard Ahiagba, cannot be categorical on an issue, the viewers know how laudable that issue is.
But you know that in this case, unlike anything else, there are human lives cost in the balance. So that whilst we are looking at the cost to the nation, right, and the potential loss of lives due to the delay, and because my brother, when he was talking, mentioned about how is it that by now, and then showing the number of people
will government of Ghana be able to show us a few countries in this world who are buying Sputnik, who are ordering Sputnik 5 for $26 a dose?
No, I don't think. I think the evidence is there, right? The company that is offering this product
says don't buy 10, more than 10.
Yes, it stipulated a price, but you see, in the market, when you have a certain urgency, okay, a certain demand appetite, it is likely to create this, other backdoor availability channels where people are saying that, I can get it for you whilst you are waiting and in line to get it from here. I'm just saying that what is being done, let's not just impugn that because the outcome or the cost, we find it to be prohibitive, okay? But let's be willing to allow, because the individuals who are, orchestrating this deal on behalf of all of us, I think that they are people of conscience, and so therefore are looking in a situation where, for example, if for their inaction, okay, to get a vaccine at a certain cost for us, then that leads to people dying. The conscience will be, okay, what if we have just gone ahead to do this? See now, I'll illustrate this for you. That people, or even all of us, I think we can assess this rationality, to say that if you have an emergency, a health emergency right now, and you go to a hospital, okay, the reason we all don't like cash and carry, you go to a hospital and they say, you need to do x-ray, and you go there and they say, the x-ray you have come is 5,000, and you don't have 5,000. The tendency to say, please, just do it, we'll find the money and pay is there. So we need to be able, once we disagree that we don't want to pay this much for a vaccine, we should also allow the mindset in the midst of, in the midst of making that decision, that the tendency of people to prioritize human life, okay, at a time above money can be what is driving this. I'm not saying that is what, but we should be charitable enough to assess this based on that. But now that it's come, all of us are discussing, we can say that we know where we are, we are willing to take the human cost.
I'm looking for the
but
statement.
let's look at
You see, the statement
Which
from the ministry, the statement from the ministry
Yeah.
betrays all this. The ministry in its statement, there's a particular paragraph where it indicates that look, this decision is even informed by the fact that COVAX informed them that the next will get AstraZeneca end of June.
June.
So the end of June is what even informed them to go and enter into all those arrangements.
And where is it?
So
What is today's date?
So your import is, for that, is to say that because AstraZeneca is coming, it gives them a room to...
No, I'm saying that they put in that paragraph. I didn't draft the
No, I'm saying
statement.
that you're rationalizing
They
what
were,
that means.
the point they were making is that look,
We're going to
AstraZeneca will be available end of June. We can't wait.
So let's go.
So you are saying that should tell them to say, okay, well, you have some...
They issued a statement only last week.
I'm saying, but how much are we getting from AstraZeneca?
I don't know, but they brought in AstraZeneca. I didn't draft the statement for them.
No, I agree. But you see, I think that the point is clear that spending that much on a vaccine that processes may be longer and maybe a bit tenuous, it is a better option. We can
What is a better option?
To go through the company and get it directly, rather than getting a middleman who would give it to us. Now, the risk I see even in that is potentially how do we validate the standard of what is brought to us, the handling of it that is brought to us wholesome, because we're getting it from a third party. And I think that's the wisdom in WHO's directive. So we should actually be interested in making sure that we go through a process. But you see, we shouldn't create the impression.
So you go and and contract middlemen who puts a 90% cut on it, 90%. Another puts 160% margin on it.
Yeah. But senior, you see, you come in.
Yes.
And you
see, at the end of the day, if you read the Ministry of Finance's letter, they are even being asked to go and raise how do you call it?
I talking about the LCs?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in fact, you are even going to borrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are even going to borrow.
Yes. But I want us to agree, okay? Once we have agreed on this contract.
You want us to agree on what?
Yeah, we agree that the contract, the way it is in this present form, the alternatives that exist, we should explore those, which is dealing with the company.
We should have or we should?
So I'm saying
Randy.
The present situation.
Randy.
So what do you want us to agree now?
Wait.
Yes.
So we are dealing with a contract before us. And I'm saying that what price point given to us at this point, we have agreed that the alternative should be explored.
So what do you want us to agree on now?
So what I want us to agree is that we cannot have a conversation about people's lives and negate the potential for the individuals putting up this contract to imagine that it is better to save life than worry about the pennies. Okay?
You know, I would have agreed with you, except to say that it is pretty obvious, it's more than glaring, that there's a scheme to profit from a pandemic.
No, seriously. But that is your.
No, it's clear.
No, I'm saying.
Because you see, when I the earlier conversation even with the airport one, when people raised the issue about Noguchi and all that, and the argument was that set up, they are going to put in, they are going to seek in some money to set the place up. It's to suggest that probably we wanted to save ourselves the cost of setting up the thing at Kotoka, so somebody else should come and bring their money and do it. Now it turns out that even in 4 months, you're making $17 million from that particular facility. And the people use Noguchi, apart from maybe the equipment that they brought from the Korean company, they use Noguchi and everything to do it, to set it up. Now, what is the cost of that setup? For all the 21 billion or so that we are saying that we spent on COVID, if this is just that one move, that you put money into something, and at least it will bring a lot of money back. That's why you decided to cede to a private company, which in 4 months will make 60 million, you make 1 million. Very sensible. And then you decide to also go and say that because you couldn't reach Vladimir Putin, you're going to buy these things for 26 and 19 and go and raise letters of credit, to go and borrow money, to go and buy 8.4 million vaccines. Add these markups.
Yeah. Let me just end briefly for you. So the point I am making is that I am not at variance with your position.
Fine.
But what I am saying is that can we also, whilst doing that, so that there is a balance in the conversation going forward, because then you are not done with making decisions about COVID-19 and the attendant vaccinations. Just 1 second, right? You are not done. So that when we are having this conversation, it's not lopsided in ways that we're just blaming and we're not taking cognizance of the context in which they're operating, so that we create a situation where next time they are mindful of how much we are paying, so much that it creates some problems for us in the future about how we make decisions, because then the conversation in Ghana is that you have to be mindful of the cost ahead of anything. So that's why I want a conversation to be balanced, so that we look, whilst we can give them all the benefit of the doubt, but we must insist that, well, you must get us some cost that is reasonable, which we know the company probably by and large has guaranteed. So let's not just negate everything they have done to say that it is wrong, and therefore they don't have any justification for arriving at a vaccine to help immunize Ghanaians.
There's absolutely no justification for this deal. Number one, let's get in mind, vaccines are not like tomatoes that you say, oh, I'm not getting here, so I'll go here and buy from anybody at all. In Ghana, we don't have any records or history of buying vaccine from any middleman. This is not the first time we are buying vaccines. So it's a very delicate.
Be also mindful of the situation.
I know.
This is not a normal situation.
No, you see, that is what they do, and they decide to do anything. They hide behind that phrase. We are not in normal situation. So when they decide to buy it even at $50, for me, I am tempted to agree with the school of thought that they intentionally create that we are not in normal situation in order to milk the situation.
Okay. Not that they create, but they take advantage of it.
For example, I'm going to why I'm saying that they create. For example, as a country, you know very well that you learn from best practices, okay? That you must go and you must be dealing with the government to government or government to manufacturer and do a deposit.
But many, this Sputnik thing, many African countries.
Exactly. Rwanda,
they contacted them and all
Rwanda,
that. In
Kenya,
fact, the African Union itself.
But see,
so you stop doing this.
We have agreed.
That's what I'm saying.
No, he's laying a basis for why.
For his
conclusion. No, he's laying a basis.
I'm saying that.
I see you're uncomfortable with his basis, but allow him.
You see, so if you know all this,
on how we can move,
especially when you are on the executive board of the WHO, and we have a president who has been a foreign minister before. He is now the president of the Republic of Ghana. We can hire, a jet. How many? 15,000 euro per hour.
Let's focus.
You see what I'm saying?
And then, with all these links, Randy, all these links, we are unable.
In fact, we can lobby to be on the Security Council of the UN.
See,
we have the capability.
He's more politician than a farmer.
This is agro-politicization. In fact, we have the capability of going around the world to lobby for a seat on the Security Council.
So, Randy,
that's a big deal.
I said we have the capability.
Oh, it's a big deal.
Yet we cannot reach. We cannot.
This one. Yesterday, I heard a foreign minister attempting to meet the press, and virtually she didn't say anything. Well, nobody can. You see, the more you attempt to defend this one.
To defend what?
This stinking deal.
Nobody is defending anything. Let's proceed. I'm just saying
so
that.
So somebody must answer
I'm just saying that. Senior,
it's clear.
The point
Your friend has sent a text.
Don't read it.
Kojo Chumba.
Please don't read it.
Okay, I'll read it.
I'm saying.
So you see, Randy, you don't see the head. And
no,
look, but I am reliably informed. Okay, that in the initial stages.
I don't like. Information from those sources. I don't like.
I said that I'm very privileged.
Send it to the committee.
My only position is that let's not make this a simplistic discussion. Let's bring some seriousness to it. Yes, we think that the cost is too much, but then in making that, let's not just impugn motives to say that the people were up to no good, all right? But let's say that call back the deal, let's have a conversation. Are there other means we can obtain this? Clearly, the communications we're having suggest that there are other means we can get this thing cheaper. So let's engage those. Whatever informed the decision to do this, I am willing, okay, to allocate the cost of life as a motive to want to get the vaccine at all costs possible to make sure Ghanaians get vaccinated. Let's allow that room for them to have been the motivation for this. But now that we have the information before us, let's now promote a conversation that leads Ghana to getting these vaccines at a cost that is friendly and also achieve the vaccination objectives we have set for ourselves.
All right. Okay. So a former editor of the Daily Guide, Kwesi Baine, says that my hope in this country is dwindling by the day. And if some of the issues you're discussing do not stop at the governmental level, the sad events of yesterday in Accra and Kumasi will increase. Okay.
Talking about security.
Now, he says that for some of the things we are discussing, if those things don't change, events like that will come up. And good morning to my friend Kocho, who's doing the listening. Kocho, good morning to you as well. There are a lot of messages directed at Richard. Okay. Honorable Kujato Ablakwa, good morning as well. Now, today is the 40th birthday of former Black Stars player John Pencil. So 40th. Happy 40th birthday to you, John Pencil. And it's from the leader of the APC, Hassan Ayariga. Oh, okay. So happy 40th birthday to you, JP4, that's his number. Okay. JP4. And
I don't know why he's not.
I'll be 40. I'll be 41.
Nyamitiasi Joy Esiedu. Today is your 12th birthday. So happy birthday to you, Nyamitiasi Joy Esiedu, from your mother, Lillian Bediako. And Dominic Isiebwa was the producer of Ekosi Sen on Asempa FM. Today is Dominic's birthday. So happy
birthday. Not born in June. You must struggle to be born again, you know. Okay.
Last Sunday was the birthday of Erika J, the Deputy Bono Communications Officer of the NDC.
Yeah.
Sunday was
Erika J.
Yes. Sharp young man. Happy birthday to you, Eric, as well. And Alex, he likes the Kobna Mensa. You know, that's his middle name, Alex Mode.
Oh, okay. I don't have Christian name as well, so. Kobna Minta
Kando.
And my children, nobody.
They don't have they don't have foreign first names.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so Alex Kobna Mensa Mode, happy birthday. Madam Veronica Ade, former Deputy Director of Finance and Administration, Ghana Immigration Service, happy birthday to you as well. We need to be going, we have just a couple of minutes to go. I guess that's the Sputnik. I saw a text from Newton of Fair Beku Justice. It says, I lived and worked in England for years, and I never saw a so-called bullion van with hazard lights, flashing and police brandishing outmoded Anatoly Kalashnikov, invented in 1947 at the height of World War II, transporting cash through the streets of London or Milton Keynes where I lived. Okay, you must be used to runabouts. It says, again, not a single day or time did I get to an ATM to withdraw cash, and I was told I couldn't get access because it was being loaded with cash. Reloading is always done possibly around midnight to avert any inconvenience to the public during the day. Heads are properly screwed on. In this 21st century, bulk cash is carried in any pickup truck with an improvised cabin, replacing the bucket, through the streets of our major towns and cities in broad daylight with hazard lights flashing and archaic AK-47 wielding police escorts. This attracts armed criminals. In Ghana, you would get to an ATM in need of quick cash for an emergency, and you'd be told the cash is now being loaded into the machine. So you have to wait for 1 hour. I was once told this at my bank, Stanchart, and I walked to the branch manager and told him to get off his ASS. So that's Newton's bit on this as well. Margot says hi. Okay.
Just saying hi is replete with mischief.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay. So I'm told that Cosmos Innovation Center, as a subsidiary of Cosmos Energy, has delved into agribusiness, helping young Ghanaian entrepreneurs in agriculture. It says, in this country, when you are in trouble, you have spectators and not supporters. People want to be the first to film and share.
Yeah.
It's very disturbing. And it says John Dumelo is in serious ginger farming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's into farming, but I didn't know it was ginger. All right. Okay. So I guess that'll be it for the morning. Thanks, Honorable. You should be coming around a lot so we can speak about agriculture.
Yeah.
Right? I'm so passionate about it.
You should promote for him to switch committees.
I'm going to do.
Because this
I'm going to
health
actually
thing
get
he's
a few
talking
of
about-
the MPs and politicians who are into serious agriculture.
Yeah.
Maybe for a whole week.
I think that
So
would
yeah,
be useful.
so we can discuss agriculture and agribusiness. Yeah.
So you can stop talking about health and talk about agriculture.
You mean we should replace Sputnik with combined harvesters? Okay. So that's cool. That's
I'll
cool.
follow his lead.
But still
on that.
try and get in touch with
Putin.
Vladimir Putin. Please try. Please try.
Once he gets in, I'll be willing to.
Please try.
To switch.
Especially when we say that we are going to use our position on the Security Council to get access to vaccines. You know, Putin is representing a permanent member.
Of course. It's a process.
Yeah, per process.
It's a process.
Okay.
So if you tried MTN and you didn't get through, maybe you try Tigo, right? Okay. So that'll be for now. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Metro TV. Insightful and inspiring moments. Metro TV. Insightful and inspiring moments.